What made the shift for you to be open to receive? What changed? Why now? My friends really ask the toughest of questions. uh, I think for the last 4 years, I have been on a journey to get to know myself better. I mean, I've always thought that I'm a lot more self aware than most people around me, but this is different. I mean, it is still about self awareness, but in a very different way. I mean, I remember the first time I went to a therapist was when I turned 40, and I bought, I think, 10 sessions and as a birthday gift for myself. And I remember, one of the exercises that he asked me to do was to write down my beliefs and then the evidence for those beliefs, and then to decide whether those beliefs were true or false. And I wrote down, and he did say that, pay attention to your negative thoughts, like when you berate yourself. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't berate myself. And I still remember that this was 5 years ago. And that opened up my awareness to being aware of the negative voices in my head. Before that moment, I don't think I was even aware that I was self-critical and how self-critical I was. It was like background noise that I was not aware of. So I started to become aware of that. But it was still more intellectual, it was more reasoning based. I got a job with a hotel in Rajasthan, which was not my career at all. I've been a photographer. I've been writing. I've been an influencer since before the word existed. So I took up that job, and it was mainly to escape my second divorce. I just wanted to stay busy. I did not want to be at home by myself. And the hotel felt familiar. My friends, worked there. I was going to work alongside them, and it would be busy. So I took that job, and after a while, I started seeing someone there. And that was the most wonderful relationship I had ever experienced till then. And I was like, wow, like this is possible. I didn't even know it was possible. And then I decided to leave the hotel job because it was too stressful for me. And I wanted to go back to Delhi and, revive my photography, because post-COVID that had all taken like a massive hit. So I went back to my apartment in Gurgaon, and the divorce proceedings were finalized and everything. And I was seeing this guy on and off because, I mean, he still had the job. I had quit my job. And things weren't going so well. And then, the visa came through. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Because when I had applied for the visa, I had some savings, which I was like, I can use them. It'll take a couple of years for me to, establish myself in Adelaide. I don't know. But I had like a decent savings. But that all went away in COVID. I mean, I was able to live through COVID because of those savings. So when the visa came through, I was like, oh, like, what am I going to do now? And my immigration agent was like, what are you thinking? Just go. And I spent a month talking to 50 people, hour-long calls, people in Sydney, Melbourne, no one in Adelaide. I didn't know anyone in Adelaide. And everyone had a different perspective of their life in Australia as compared to their life in India. And I listened to everyone, and eventually I came to the conclusion that the only way I was going to find out was to go myself, because everyone's perspective is different. And so I Took a month to sell everything, close up my apartment. It was a rented apartment. And I moved to Adelaide with one backpack and one suitcase and with no idea of what I was going to be doing or how. And I was already doing the whole inner work thing and trying to be more present, and I was journaling. I was attempting to connect more with my emotional body, cry a lot easily, do the things I always wanted to do. Like, if I wanted to go to the beach every day, I'd go to the beach every day. If I wanted to go drive to a park and take photos of me, I'd do that. I went to New Zealand, and it was interesting because I was essentially, I was still in touch with my parents, and, I talk regularly with my sister and we're very close. But apart from that, I am not that close with pretty much anyone. I have friends all over the world and I did speak to them, but like, how many times are you going to speak to them? So I was going through this whole, like, I wanted solitude, but I was also lonely. I was painting, whatever photography gigs I was getting, I was doing those. But one of the things that really helped was my sister's breathwork practice. So I'll mention that. So if you guys want to follow, she does breathwork online as well. A lot of people show up for her classes. She has private clients. And obviously I was one of the first guinea pigs, and I was extremely resistant to it. Subconsciously. Like, I wasn't even consciously resistant to it. So that was definitely one pathway that helped me to be more present and more aware of my internal world. And then the second thing that really skyrocketed this whole process was meeting Jamie. Jamie, like, honestly, initially when I met him, I thought he was absolutely crazy. We met on Hinge, and just we chatted a couple of times, like on text, and then I gave him my address and I was like, fine, come pick me up, let's go for a meal. Because I don't like to be like, oh, chat for 20 days and then like, I'm like, no, let's just meet and figure it out. Because the moment you meet someone, you know. And I remember I went out and I was walking towards the car and I was looking at him, and my whole body was like, turn around, go back, turn around, go back, turn around, go back, turn around, go back. And I kept walking, and then I went and sat down in the passenger seat. And then we went for, what was it, brunch? And even during brunch, I was like, this guy is so weird. And I decided that after brunch, I would leave. But then after brunch, we came out and we were standing next to his car and having a conversation. And then it was, I think, too cold or windy. And I was like, can we sit inside the car? And then we sat inside the car and we were sitting in the car for 15 hours. And we were talking. And I had not talked that much in years, even at my hotel job. So that took me by surprise. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And he would talk about all these things which I thought were completely like delusional and like woo-woo. And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, your beliefs create the reality around you. And I'm like, what is this, a fucking hologram? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, And it was kind of relentless. And the things he was saying, it wasn't like I hadn't heard these things earlier, or, when I was much younger, I used to believe in all this. But then, life happened, I suppose. I allowed it to happen. And I realized that I had spent most of my life giving my power away to external things and people and stuff. Like, if someone looked at me in a certain way, I'd be like, oh no, what did I do? Or if someone said something to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm not a bad person. Why would they say that to me? Or if, something happened which I did not prefer, I'd be like, why did that happen to me? It was all, I spent a lot of time in essentially what we would call victim consciousness. Without even being aware of it. I was not aware of it. I didn't think I had victim mentality at all, because I had examples of victim consciousness around me and I was not like them. But yeah, I was in severe victim consciousness. And then, it's interesting. Like, I was just chatting with a friend and I was saying that it's whatever you believe is true, essentially. Um, so like for the first time today, I got a parking ticket. I've never gotten a ticket like in India ever or in Australia, and I don't know what I did. So I'm waiting for to see the photo of what it was, and the way I'm looking at it was literally like, oh my god, yay! My first parking ticket in Australia. Gratitude for the experience. Like, saying to the universe, like, oh my god, universe, there is so much money coming my way. You're just giving me practice of letting it flow because it'll come and then it will flow. So you're giving me practice for that. And then, I only saw the ticket when I was driving. And then when I was driving, the ticket flew away. And then I was like, ooh, an opportunity to learn how parking ticket systems work in Adelaide. What do I do now? And approaching it with curiosity and finding answers online and having gratitude for that. And then calling up the council where the parking ticket was given. And I was aware that I'm sure that the person who picks up the phone is going to be like, they're going to be like, oh my God, another call. But they're doing their job, so they have to take that call. And they are probably chatting with lots of people who are not very nice to them. They're not kind. They might be irritated and rude and take it out on that person, even though it's not that person's fault or it has nothing to do with them. So very consciously, I was aware of my body language, even though I couldn't see them on the phone. And I called them up and I was like, hi, can you please help me? And they were like, yes. And I said, well, the ticket flew away. Haha. And what can I do now? And they were like, well, I don't see it in the system yet. It shows up on the system 24 hours after. So I'll be able to see it then, and then I can email it to you. And the car belongs to my friend who gave me the car. And I was like, will it go to their email or will it come to my email? And she's like, I can send you the email. And then my email is can be a little weird for people, right? It's the letter n@naina.co. And it took her a while to kind of understand what I was saying. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This sounds so complicated. Like, I really should have a simplified email. And she was like, no, now that I get it, it's actually quite simple. And she was so nice and helpful. And I asked her more questions. And I approached it from the point of view of, again, curiosity and gratitude for being able to talk to such a kind person and actually getting all the answers that I needed. And that's one way to look at it. You could look at it any way you want. That has changed. That has shifted. Everything is happening for me, not to me. So, for example, my last divorce, we were married for 12 years. And now I look at it that it happened for me. When I was in it, of course, I didn't see it because I wasn't even aware of this way of thinking. But it happened for me. He was there to fulfill his role to perfection for me. And I am grateful for that. And I have said as much to him as well. And I feel like that fucking rewrites the past. Everything is like that. It's not happening to me. It's happening for me. The universe is doing these things for me. I am a divine being having a human experience. I am the multiverse experiencing itself through this human form. And for someone who has never heard these words before, I know it can sound, but I get it. And that if, now anything that activates me is something that I'm like, oh wow, something I can work with, something to play with. It's changed my perspective on a lot of things. Again, work in progress, every day, always open to learning, student for life. But that was, I think, one of the biggest things, that everything is happening for me, not to me. And, trying to be more aware of, being more aware of the words I choose, being more aware of my thoughts, being more aware of the moment. And like Ram Dass has a book called Be Here Now, and Jamie gifted it to me, and I flip through the pages once in a while, and it's like, be here now. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm from a very simple and practical kind of life. So it can sound very woo-woo, which it did initially, which was, I was like, who is this crazy dude? And even our relationship. Like, I look at the relationship as something that is here to serve me. It is for me, because if there are things that activate me, that is an opportunity for me to get to know myself better. And it's wonderful. Does that make sense? And it might not make sense, to be honest, to a lot of people. But that's fine. But I do feel like, there are parts of this conversation where it's like a seed is being planted, where something will stick in your head and you will think about it, and that's how it goes. And I'm always happy to talk about this, because I say things and then I'm like, huh. And it's, yeah, life is fabulous. Like, I always felt life was fabulous, but it was more me pushing away the things that I did not prefer. But now I am grateful for the things that I feel I don't prefer, because everything is happening for me. Everything is here to serve me. And we are all the same. That is something I'm still not sure what that means, but I'm working on it.